telling you, it's been one extreme to the next. From minus 40 plus 5 degrees. I need to get this part of the project done, and that is I got shit show in the garage because it's time to do its first service on it. So I got my Amso oil, supposed to take pretty much 6 liters, filter, and I got my X tool that you don't need to reset the oil, but I'm just gonna try it out and see. So this is where the fun starts. When everything is aftermarket, it's a lot more work to do a service. For example, I got the Terraflex heavy duty steering, multiple grease joints on that. I got the RCV axles I got to inspect. I got to remove the front tires to grease those axles, plus grease the ball joints while I'm at it. Because if you remember when I first bought this Jeep, I installed the Terraflex ball joints and they're all greasable, so I'm going to give them some grease. And then I modified the ARB skid pan so I could properly drain oil. First, let's get this hood open, popped up. And what I love about the Jeep is that just fold it up on top of the windshield. Before I get started, I should make sure I have all the right tools. The oil filter housing looks like we're set at a 24 millimeter. And then the oil fill, I'm just going to crack the cap and a little stiff. It's going to pop it loose like that. So I drain the oil. She'll come out a little bit smoother. I still need to build a new bracket and modify it so it looks a little bit more cleaner instead of just zip ties. That seems to be working. I'm also want to add some LED lights underneath. I'm not sure what I'm going to use. I'm going to run that yet. The hood on the JK and these ribs is not terribly deep at all, so I might look at using LED strips instead. And one thing too that somebody else had pointed out to me, or maybe a few people pointed out to me that I didn't realize until someone had told me, and I tried it out myself. So it seems like these newer batteries, I don't know what it is, but this past year when the alternator broke down, someone had told me that the alternators on the vehicles never charge the batteries 100%. And it's actually really funny because it's true. It is absolutely true. So yesterday, I'll give you an example. My TDI Jetta, for whatever reason, there's a lot of electronics going on in that. So especially in the wintertime, if you let it sit 4 or 5 days, the battery drains down. So sure enough, I didn't plug it in. It was like minus 20 that day. I shouldn't have even tried to attempt to start it, but it wouldn't even go. So I had the capacitor jump starter in the trunk, and I hooked that up and used whatever remaining battery power, because the battery power is at like 9 volts. So capacitor's charged up to 14 volts, and I jump started it no problem. But the issue was, even though I drove it, and I took it for a long drive, like 25 kilometers, it didn't charge the battery up 100%. It only showed 35% charge. So I threw the battery charger on it, 15 amps, let it sit for an hour, came out, said 100% charge. I went out today, start the Jetta, perfect. Alright, got my good old Princess Auto Power Fish Jack. Look at this sucker. If you guys been watching my videos, I probably had this thing well over a decade. Let's have a look here. There's a date code on the stamp there. 3.5 ton, manufactured 10 of 10. So 12 years I've had this thing in my garage. Wheels are a little dry. Sounds like nail scratching on chalkboard. But this old girl still working mighty fine. Sticker's about to wear off though. So now I'm underneath, and this Jeep is equipped with the ARB skid pan. And I know ARB is not going to see this video, but when I got the Jeep, one of the things I did was cut an access plate or access hole for the oil drain, because the whole idea of trying to drain the oil in this and removing that skid pan every time was stupid. Like I don't understand why someone would develop a skid plate without an access cover to change the oil. I mean, ARB builds extremely well built products. Engineer Johnny must have been involved with this one. And I put anti-seize. Just to make sure I don't have any issues. And then I made sure that the small bolt goes front. And as you can see right there, I got the drain. I should have a little hose, I'm hoping. That might fit over. A little tiny hose. If not, I'll try to find something bigger, just so that I'm not making a mess, and I'm thinking I'm gonna have to find something bigger. All right, got a perfect little hose over there. Turn that on. Oil should start coming out through the drain. Oh yeah. That's a million times better. I think next time I'll probably just stick the midi vac on it and then definitely just suck it out. It'd be a lot quicker. Well, that's going to take a while to drain. So let's just get this oil filter out of the way. See how that's going to look. There we go. So I just got the filter, and this is the interesting thing. The dealership changed the oil before I bought the Jeep. But if the dealership changed the oil, why would they be using a Fram filter? I would never use a Fram filter in my life. And I know Steve has always used AMSOIL, and that's what I'm going to be using too. So this is the replacement filter. It should have a new O-ring for the cap, and it looks like it's down there. Stuck. I'll have to fish it out. Makes me wonder now if they put shitty oil in this Jeep too. I don't know. Maybe someone can confirm. I don't work at a dealership. Our OEM Chrysler filters Fram. Man, it really makes me wonder. I should have changed oil now when I first bought it. Let's get that in place. The O-ring. Presto. Lubricate it up a little bit. Oh, don't fall down. Last thing I need is you to fall down and break. AMSOIL filter. Pop it in place. So I'm probably going to have to replace this oil filter housing in the future, but from what I understand, one of the problems is that people over tighten them, and that's what causes them to break. It's got the, there we go. It's got the O-ring seal, so you don't have to go crazy on it. Well, I changed filter and everything up top. We're still coming out, and the oil bucket's getting kind of full. There we are. I'm pretty happy with that. Just going to close that valve, shut her down. Looking at the control arms, shouldn't be too hard to build new control arms. This one has a slight bend. It looks like the upper control arm utilizes a 1-inch because it does come pretty close to the frame. So that's something that's got to be taken into consideration when building a new setup. I'm all buttoned back up here, but one of the beauties about this design I made, because the bolts come out farther, and the front bolt's got to be shorter than the back bolt because it's close to the oil pan. Anyways, that's not the point. So by chance, the extreme rare chance I ever lost both bolts, this plate will not fall down unless it's lifted up, slid back, and then dropped out the front, which would also be highly unlikely, and that's the way I designed it. Alright, before I get carried away and forget, I'm just going to dump 5 liters, 5W20 in. I probably could go to 530 since there's like 200,000 kilometers on this engine. Be a little bit more clearance. But I definitely don't want to start it up without any oil in it, because you guys know how I get sidetracked all the time. Alright, last one. 5 down. This is the part where I trip and fall and dump everything on the ground, which would suck. Dump this all in. Oil looks pretty good. Doesn't look like there's any surprises or Easter eggs, which is a good sign. So before I take off the tires in the front to do all my maintenance, one of the things I like to do, this has got a brand new hub in the front, is I like to spin the tire a few times, because that'll give me an idea on how good the wheel hub is. And of course, that side over there, the sensor broke off and I had to replace the hub, and this is an old hub here, and yeah, everything seems to be good there, so we're good to go. Take tires off. So this is my little kit I've had for many years. And this is what I use to grease everything. It's got all my little attachments. You got the needle. I'm going to use this little short one. There's long ones. Super long ones. It's the reason why I have to pull up the tires, because the RCV axles, you grease them through there. I got ball joints, upper and lower. I'm going to grease the RVC last. I'm just going to get what I can reach right now, which is top of the ball joint. Give her some. Just got to start it. Crank it hard right, grease it. Crank it hard left. Oh yeah. Now that I turned it, the steering shaft puked out a bunch of oil. But if you have the TerraFlex heavy duty steering kit, see if I get underneath there. In order to grease those, you got to clean those out every time, and then grease them. I'm going to show you something on the other side. This anti-rock is the first generation. It's shot. I need to either replace it or do something with it. It's coming over to this side here. You can see the one grease nipple down there for the ball joint, but also with the RCV, you also want to inspect the plastic cups, especially during the winter. And you can see right there, I just greased that joint and you had to turn the steering to get at it. Top ball joint's been greased. So I got the little pointy thing on there. Stab it in. Give it about 4 pumps for the RCV. Should be good. Nice to know that carbon monoxide detector still works. Remember when I was testing the diesel heat and put it too close to the exhaust? I just reset it, so I'll probably stay off right now unless the CO2 goes back up. Okay, 6 liters of oil are in, tires are back on, torque back up. Identified my issues. I need to do something with the anti-rock, but this Falcon shock has been leaking, and I think when I get back to work, I'm going to replace it with Fox, just solely for the purpose that you can rebuild them, because as far as I know, you can't get a rebuild kit for these, but I'm sure if you took them apart, you might be able to find the seals and that for them. I haven't looked too much on the internet yet, but it did take exactly 6 liters. And now over here, I got the scanner that I'm going to reset the oil light, which you don't need a scanner to do. I just want to see if that function works. Alright, let's check for some updates. Apparently you get 3 years of updates. Anyways, I'm not going to sit around. Let's go to special function. That's where we need. What do we need here? Oil reset. America. Yeah, let's go to this one right here. Auto reset. I heard something in the dash flash. Let's see. Let's go to the menu. Let's go in the menu. Oh, look at that. Oil life. 100% remaining. We're good to go. I'm going to set it back down to transmission temperature because that's what I run it on. And the reason for that being is because the transmission has a thermostat, and it's not uncommon for the thermostat to stick, which could lead the Jeep transmission to overheat. So I always like to keep it on the transmission temperature when I'm out and make sure that there's no issues. Do you smell anything? Do you sense a guilt, Toms? I know, you're starting to feel a little better. Thought I was going to have to rush you to the vet earlier in the week because you weren't doing so well. I honestly don't mind this scanner for being cheaper quality. This thing is super fast. I might just use it as my trail scanner too. It's got a little small case. Just toss it in the Jeep when I head out. Alright, I'm just going to leave the hood open because there's something else I want to do, but on my other channel. And I'll see if I can open up the fridge because I got my diesel heater in the way. And it's motherfucking beer time. You know what? I haven't smashed a green caribou in a while. I think that's what I'm gonna have. Green caribou. Alright, motherfucking beer time. Caribou Lasoni Focus. Probably won't because it's stuck on my face. There we go. You gotta go where the anti-focus is. Anyways, let's crack this open. Yeah, so as I was saying earlier, poor Tomcats had an episode where he came to me about 3 o'clock in the morning. Let's have a sip. And he was being needy. He wasn't meowing or nothing. He was just being needy. And the time I got up at 6 o'clock in the morning to give his insulin, he was, I wouldn't say, I guess you could, lethargic. He wasn't eating much, so I had to skip his insulin for that day. And I did manage to get him to get some food into him, so he had some energy. And he started feeling better by that evening. And I was able to give him a shot, and then today, he's 100 times more better. And one of the things we always like to do is how I gauge how he's feeling is that once or twice a day, I lay down on the couch, and no matter if Tomcat's close by in the room, he'll jump up top of me, and he'll lay on me, and will cuddle away, and that's how I judge how sick he is, because if I'm laying on the couch and he doesn't come up, then I know he's really sick. So he's been jumping up. He's starting to feel better. I'm hoping he can come out of this little funk. But that being said, being about 18 years old, diabetic, I have to face the fact that he's probably not going to be around at the end of this year. I can see his health start fading really fast, and that's going to make me really sad when he goes. So right now I'm just trying to make him comfortable, trying to make his life as best as possibly can. But anyways, cheers everybody, motherfucking beer time. It's just a quick video. Doing the first service on my Jeep. Doing an inspection, making sure everything's greased up. I don't know why the dealership had a Fram filter in there. Like I said before, I don't even know what kind of oil they even used. Hindsight, I should have just changed the oil when I got the Jeep, but the dealership changed it, so I assumed that they would have used like Chrysler filter and probably Chrysler oil, but maybe I could be wrong. I don't even know. There's AMS oil in there now. There's an AMS oil filter. We're good to go. I didn't notice any issues. I just got to do that shock sometime this next year, hopefully, and ready to rock and roll. Anyways, cheers, everybody. I appreciate everybody for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Got the tool bench in the back.